everybody. Welcome back. Going into the next part of the show where things happen. Agatha, you have misread your horoscope for the queen, and now have a pretty firm idea of how best to empower her to take what is rightfully hers, which I'm sure we'll learn about later. But for now, does Agatha leave her room intending to bump into Joy, or is this more like a meet weird situation where you happen to run into each other?
I mean, who else wanders the castle at like 2 a.m?
Well, there was this other lady that used to wander the castle at 2 a.m.
Actually, this is actually a good setup for me because I'm planning to do something that would require that I be sort of like around first. You know what I mean? Like it makes sense for what I'm gonna do next for there to be this scene where I bump into Agatha. So it's probably by coincidence.
Okay.
But I imagine it's like coming through a doorway or something, and I literally bump into her, as she is always in the way and so forth, and blind, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like pitch black, at night.
Yeah,
There's no one to light the candles anymore.
Yeah, so I guess like if you're headed into a room or something, Joy's just coming out of. And she runs directly into you and sort of but it's you.
And Agatha like catches herself on a wall, and there's like a pained grunt that escapes her and figures it'd be you.
Who else? What are you doing skulking around so late?
Stupid question. Try another.
Why does the Magus hate you?
How should I know?
Well, I'm just asking because
Fucking Joy. Jesus Christ.
because I was told by our dear friend to spy on you. It was. I've since realized that that's a very, very poor idea, and that you are my friend, so I wouldn't do such a thing. But I don't think he likes you very much.
I don't like you either.
Well, with your legendary loyalty, I'm sure you can trust every word you say.
It's true. Whether you believe me or not, it's true. He had me put a little coin in your room somewhere. I've since removed it and thrown it out a window. It flew a fair distance out into the snow. Still waiting for the reprisal on that, but we'll see what happens. How much lower can I get after all?
And you admit this to me in the hopes that I won't do something terrible to you in turn.
Oh, no. I know you've done something terrible to me, you spooky old woman. You think I couldn't taste the dirt from your hands in my mouth when I couldn't speak anything but the truth? I was sitting in front of the queen and she was talking to me about things I shouldn't be telling the truth about. It's very inconvenient.
I'm so sorry to have inconvenienced you, Joy.
Not to mention, even as a token, that's something, I suppose. I'm not trying to avoid your ire. I'm merely trying to let you know that you have a very spooky enemy. The Magus is just as talented, perhaps more so than you. I would be wary. Someone taking not only their own position, but yours. Could be uncomfortable being thrust out into the snow.
Magus is a rat and hides like one. He would never take my position.
Fly,
Too
actually.
visible. Whatever he is, the wolf is not something to hide from it.
The wolf. Is that the house you're from? House of the Wolf?
Wolves don't need houses, Joy.
True. But you do find them in kennels occasionally. This is a pretty big kennel.
Is there a reason you're still talking?
Not particularly. I was headed out.
Oh, finally plan to kill yourself.
No.
I could mix you a potion that would do it more quickly, less painfully.
Is your familiar with you?
Of course, yeah. It's
So
always with me.
you can see me, basically.
If I want to.
In this darkness. I don't know if the familiar has any particular,
It's not like X-ray vision or anything. No.
No, but okay. All right, fair enough.
I think she isn't bothering trying to see you at this point.
I mean,
she doesn't feel she needs to.
Joy's wearing sort of the same thing that she went out to see Miro's performance in. It's not her regular attire, and her hat is missing. There's no jingling of bells as she sort of gestures or moves. And she says, "I know. I've been trying very hard to learn some things recently, and the king tragically does not need my amusement so much as he used to. Until he calls me back into service as the jester of this court, I will have to make myself useful in other ways."
You had plenty of opportunities to make yourself useful to me and to learn. Why this sudden change of heart? Why do you care now?
Well, it's not really why do I care now. It's more that now it's important. Because before, it was a matter of I had a very comfortable rug to sleep on and a very bountiful table to get scraps from. And now I'm spending far too much time begging for those things back. There are other positions I can take up, certainly. Certainly there have to be. But they won't be chained to a wall somewhere or beholden to somebody's will. I'm not interested in taking a step back. I'm not interested in selling myself any more than I already have. If the king takes me back into his service, wonderful, fantastic, perfect. But anyone else is, well, it's a step down, isn't it? Really? Even service to a king is better than freedom of my own.
And therein lies the entire philosophical debate of the campaign, isn't it? How Agatha, how do you respond to this? Because that attitude is so antithetical, right?
Oh yeah. It's disappointing that you think your value lies only in being a thing, a pet to another. Even a wolf in a kennel is still free. The heart of the wolf is always free.
Oh, Agatha. If I may call you that. Would you prefer Dark Lady, Sorceress of the Woods, or something? So many people enjoy their flowery titles here in this court. I thought maybe you'd adopted one. Lots of people use the word witch in relation to you, and they don't say it as fondly as maybe you'd think. Tried to dissuade the furry priest from coming after you.
Furry priest.
Spoke to him recently. Not a fan of yours.
Miro, but now he has fur. Is this what you're saying?
That's it. It was a sight to behold. A few laughs to be had. But
why were you speaking of me? Why are you always telling people about me?
I have
Do not learn your lesson.
I have but one skill, Agatha, and one skill alone, and that skill is to talk. And when I say to talk, I don't mean to convince people. I don't mean to sway them. I mean to lay it bare as it is. And so I talk about everyone. If you think you're special, no, you're not. Not to me. No one's special to me. Not even me. Now, what I was going to say is, oh, Agatha, you don't remotely understand the effects that a kennel has on the wild dog. You don't have the smallest comprehension of what that is like.
Yeah, it does occur that, like, Agatha is saying, like, even in a kennel, the wolf's heart is free. And you're like, girl, you have never been in a kennel, motherfucker. Like, I know.
I love how confused Joy's rhetoric is, though. She's like, yeah, you're a dog in a kennel, but you're not really in a kennel. Like, I've been in a kennel. No one is more kenneled than me.
But that's the thing. She's just so fucking confused about everything. Like, she doesn't have this, like, clear-cut motive. She's like, she gets a moment to talk about something and to gain an advantage momentarily in this tiny way, and she'll take it.
Yeah.
Like, whatever it is.
Yeah, regardless of the, no follow-up to it or whatever.
Well, exactly.
Joy, look, just be silent for a moment and listen.
I put a hand. Joy puts her hand over her mouth like this. There's a little bit of a talking noise that comes up.
What I offered you was an opportunity to better your lot. Maybe you didn't see it that way. But I understand that for you it is difficult to comprehend kindness.
It's difficult. I'm sorry, did you want me to talk now?
I'm very patient and am able to forgive those who are willing to change and those who understand the value of learning and of themselves. If you cross me ever again, I will take your tongue. Not merely curse it briefly. But if you wish to work with me, there's room.
Now, herein lies the rub. You say work with. I think what you mean is work for. Everybody means work for. And you started this sentence with, if you cross me, I'll take your tongue. It's not a very
I am still a witch, Joy.
It's not a very friendly way to get a conversation going between us.
I'm not your friend. What I'm offering you is not friendship. But when I say work with, I do mean it. Mutual benefit. Friendship comes later.
And what would you need of me?
Nothing yet. What do you need of me?
I'm on retainer, am I? Interesting. Is our arrangement organic and ongoing? Would you say? I've been in those before. Didn't go well
I'm
for me
not
the
like
last
these
time.
men who have owned you, Joy. Though you might confuse us for one another, they are a different breed.
I can tell you what I need from you, Agatha. What I need from you is that I know the Magus will be coming after me soon. I have, in throwing that coin from your room, probably angered someone who could do me a great deal of harm. If you'd like your cooperator to survive more than the next couple of weeks, then we'll have to do something about that.
Do you have a plan?
Well, my plan, I say, like, pulling on my current attire, my plan was to tiptoe gently down the stairs and out of this place to go and find someone who will take me seriously and help me with something I'd like to learn. And I at that moment pull the knife from wherever it is on the concealed position on Joy under some cloak or what have you. Pull the knife out, and it's just a rusty kitchen knife, basically. This shitty pig sticker.
Yeah, it's a you bought a run. It's a not run of the mill. It's the one below it.
Low quality.
It's poor quality. Yeah,
it's like a dirk or something. Yeah,
and sleight of hand, flip it in my hand. No, I'm not entirely defenseless, but I'm not entirely practiced either. I can juggle them, but fighting with them is an entirely different endeavor. And then just as quickly, it disappears again. Sleight of hand, back away. And so somebody outside this castle would be the best person to find to fix that problem, because the Lady Protector was not interested.
Yeah, and Agatha quirks an eyebrow. Well, I might know someone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, can I circles up someone
absolutely
to teach her how to stab people correctly?
Definitely, yeah. So let's see how that works. So you're looking for someone who has a skill at arms who is willing to teach other people to fight.
Yeah, the person we would be looking for is someone with the knife skill.
I mean,
and maybe instructor as well, so that they're better at teaching her.
Who isn't just I know how to kill a man with a knife. Just
the other thing is that I have the knife skill. This is more about being able to defend myself with it. I don't know if that's different.
Well, someone who can help you improve that skill.
Yeah,
without having to use it practically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and my thought for this, is that maybe I know, some of the wild folk.
I was gonna say we gotta look at your life paths. So walk me through those one more time.
Born gifted, witch's apprentice, speaker of names, rogue wizard, court sorcerer.
Right. So not that last one.
Not that last one.
And I'm not really the first one, but somewhere in the middle there.
Rogue wizard, speaker of names.
Speaker of names is what I was thinking.
Speaker of names gave me an opportunity to meet a lot of people.
I mean, I've also got poisoner, which is a bad people life path, or not bad people, but an outcast.
Poisoner lets you know bad people. Yes.
So yeah, someone in the outcast life path, definitely. I suppose, or maybe let me just double check, because this is a codex life path, the speaker of names. Let me just see where it actually lives. It's not a rodent life path.
You find a rat man, and he teaches you ninjutsu.
Hey, it works for some folk.
Become a turtle.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Miro, what would be the odds for turning Joy into some kind of mutant turtle?
I mean, I could turn her into a turtle.
Not just a regular turtle.
So the speaker of names is in the peasant setting.
Yeah. So in this, yeah, peasant.
And then witch's apprentice is in the villager setting.
Yeah. As well. So peasants, villagers, somewhere outside the city, not city folk. So you will have to leave the city for this person.
I don't want to leave the city. I was just gonna go to a tavern somewhere. God damn it!
This is different. This is a different sort of fighting. Yeah. So okay.
So my preference, although I guess I don't get to ultimately decide, would be for this to be someone from the woods, basically, some fighting lady, because part of my secret motivation here as Agatha is to indoctrinate Joy into, one, seeing herself as having value, by way of like learning things and
Yeah.
improving herself, but then also to like be part of my feminist anarchist cabal.
Yeah, I mean it's obtuse because it's someone. You're slightly more specific than just a person that I share.
It's not just anyone.
It's not just anyone.
Yeah.
Someone who can fight, and everybody's capable of some kind of like martial thing. But this is specifically someone who's capable of fighting. So yeah, okay. So that's obtuse. That should be easy enough.
Yeah, I have 2 circles. So,
I mean, you always could have asked me. I have a lot of circles, but
but would you know the right person?
I believe also in the last episode, you were written off in Agatha's mind for now. So
wow, excuse me.
Yeah, you're fucking dead to me.
dead to me. That's the phrase. Thank you. Yes.
You
I mean, I'm just saying what honesty demands. So, do my reputations of reliable oracle or infamous hex witch? play
Infamous
into
hex
this?
witch for sure.
Okay, cool. So I get a +1 mod.
Oh, but hold on. Your infamous hex witch is among the nobles, right?
No,
It's not-
I'm a reliable oracle among the nobles, and then I'm an infamous hex witch, like amongst like villager people.
Yeah,
or
that's
that,
okay. I
like,
just wanted to clear up which was which.
it's because that's the one I get from being born gifted.
Yes.
So it's from like out there in the wilds.
Yeah, and they have their own kind of like reasons to distrust you anyway. So that infamy definitely is like.
Yeah, it like matters.
Well,
in
they're
this
like,
case.
because remember we talked about you being like kind of a traitor to them.
It being perceived as such,
Yes,
and
yeah.
also just like being a very mercurial person.
Yeah, they can't really
amongst that
trust you.
society. Yeah.
Okay.
And you know what? Because you're my friend, I'm gonna spend a persona point on
damn.
this.
Damn,
So-
Agatha. Spending that fate.
I thought I wasn't your friend. I thought that was the whole point
I believe
of
that
it.
this is because elf. This is an elf friend situation. We got some
Oh.
melon shit going on. Boom.
Yes.
You did it.
Success.
Okay, let's come up with a name for this warrior lady. What let me see.
I have a list of names that I would be
Yeah, you wanna
delighted to draw
drop one on me?
upon.
Okay.
Yeah, just give me a moment. Oh yeah. Her name is Brotin.
How's it spelled?
Brotinn.
Mm-hmm.
And it means to break.
Fantastic. What's
She
the
is a fighty lady.
what's the it's Icelandic, that name?
Yes, I
Okay.
just went to a random page in my sorcerer's screed and pulled an Icelandic word.
Fantastic.
It was in the phrase "broten is," which is broken ice, and I was just like, okay, well, yeah, it's got to be that.
Nice. Okay. So do we want to go with the like these people inherit their name from like a parent? Like
No, these people get a name. They get named. There's like a traditional person who names them, right? Like I was that person.
okay.
And so it's not entirely about lineage.
Okay.
I think like chosen family and like kind of incidentally found family are important in this culture as well. So like,
How would we tell her apart from another person also named Broten?
I mean, maybe there are no unique names. Maybe that's also part of the naming job. Is there are like however many names. There's like, here are the names of the people, and if we have never run out because there have never been so many of us. But also we like the people who go around naming others keep track.
But then also you can do the whole cultural thing of like, well, if you're named the same as that person who died
Right, like a
last
historical-
generation, like
Yeah.
you are that person now, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think there's an element of that because there's like an administrative branch of names that they're able to like kind of keep track of these things. And it's not perfect, obviously, but it would be like vanishingly unlikely for them to meet someone who had the same name as them among the people, because it would have to have been like a mix-up at some
Okay.
point.
Sure, that sounds good. So yeah, you know of this woman, and you know that she's someone who knows her way around a blade, and might be inclined to teach someone else how to use one.
And she's like, not in town, but like near-ish
Mhm.
is the other thing.
Because I have to be able to get back to the castle is the thing that occurs to me.
Yeah, so Agatha just like nods and says, I know someone who could teach you. But
Oh, well. If you know someone, that's a far better plan than what I had. My first port of call would have been, well, somewhere local, certainly.
I will go find her. In the meantime, and there's like a pause while she like concentrates and gets her familiar's eyes to like kick in for her.
Mhm.
And then she sees the like shitty rusty knife that you have. Just like, maybe arm yourself a little better.
That I think I can do.
No use learning to fight with poor tools.
If it stabs, it stabs, but fair enough.
And Agatha has like already walked away, I think.
And as you're walking down the hall, I do like the shout, not the shout, but like the statement over my shoulder, like, careful of the Magus. He doesn't like you.
And Agatha, yeah, like continues pacing the halls, muttering about rats.
Okay. Cool.
And yeah, I'm gonna send this lady a message using magic.
Oh shit.
I'm doing it.
All right.
Roughly where do I kind of like think she is in relation to town?
I mean, she is where she would be, so she's in one of the woods villages. It's probably like a couple of days travel from here.
Okay, but what if I was a bird?
What if you were a bird?
How quickly would I get there?
I don't know how fast. It depends. Are you laden or unladen?
Unladen.
I don't know. Like a day, maybe.
Okay,
less
cool.
time as the bird flies.
Yeah, great. So that's how I'm gonna get my message there. I'm gonna turn into a bird.
Cool.
Because I can do that.
Yes.
You think I can't turn into a bird?
You can turn people into birds. It's awesome.
All right. So how does that work? Transform. I found it. A wizard may transform themselves into an animal. Okay. The ob for a mundane, harmless creature is ob 3.
Yeah. There we go. And so Agatha, like we've all seen Spirited Away, right?
Now here's the trick. You're gonna be blind as a bird because you're gonna get away from your familiar, and your familiar can't go with you and share its vision.
Do I keep all of my traits? I guess I do.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're
Still
doesn't
blind.
say
You can't-
otherwise.
You can't free yourself. Otherwise, you could transform yourself into an animal and then just be able to see.
I transformed myself into a human who can see.
So, I mean, the thing is here, like, the wizard is completely transformed into that creature. Cannot cast spells while changed. I guess, are you blind because your eyes don't work, or is it like a sorceress curse?
I mean, I could weasel and be like, I'm just blind because my eyes don't work. But no, it's like fucking magic blindness, obviously. I pulled an Odin.
Yeah.
I gave up sight for knowledge.
Bat. Chat is calling on Bat. Be a bat.
Because then you would have echolocation.
So maybe that's what she does, yeah. And it's, it's a
I
mammal.
would posit if it's magic blindness, then its intention is not to blind your eyes, but to blind your perception, and thus echolocation would not work either.
That's a good call. Yeah. I feel
Although
like
we could also lean back on the rules, which say that it's for sight-based, blah, blah, blah.
you would be a bat with the blind trait.
And bats aren't strictly blind.
We definitely had this conversation as a group once about shapeshifting into a bat.
Yeah, because
and
bats
whether
can
you had
kind of
dark
see.
vision or not.
But obviously bats use echolocation. We
Yeah,
know
we
this.
did.
We definitely did. Because then we argued about whether or not a wolf should have dark vision.
We aren't bound by the rules of
Okay,
a monster manual.
So alternately, your alternate suggestion: turn someone else into a bird and have them deliver,
Or
the
summon a bird, or yeah.
or have a bird deliver the message. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't have I guess I could give myself a trait that lets me speak to birds,
Mhm.
if such a trait exists.
Then you have to
and then
circles
I
up
could
a bird.
circles up a bird.
They're speaking to birds and animals. I thought it was funny when I was making my
Oh
character.
no, there is a bird speech trait.
Yeah, there
Okay,
is.
There's a trait.
so maybe that's what she does. That's fun too. Yeah. So I
Okay.
like call a bird over.
Mhm.
Okay, great. We're learning more about Agatha's friend circle.
Well, it's your it's your situation, right? Like
Yeah, it's
we're trying to figure out your also Dave.
There's also one that is birdie talk, but that's different.
That's different. Yeah. So the low speech for birds, that trait is called something like bird speech or bird talker. Let's see.
Low speech for birds only. I mean, maybe that is it.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, birdie talk.
It
yeah.
is birdie talk.
How much does it cost?
It says it's a die trait.
Let me see. I've got it here. Birdie talk. Oh, yeah. It doesn't have a cost.
So then it's a life path specific trait.
Yeah. So there might be rules.
Manish. Life
Yeah, it's a manish life path only. You can't buy into it. Which doesn't have-
Unpriced life paths in the individual character stock chapters are ob4.
Boom. There you go. Thank you.
So to give it to
I knew
myself,
that rule existed, but I didn't know where it was.
to give it to myself for one test, applies no additional
So
penalty.
just up for.
So it's just ob4 sorcery. With my wound dice, it's hard. Okay, so sorcery, forking symbology.
Okay.
Or low speech is a 3-point trait. The knowledge of the language of animals and beasts is known to you. You can choose one type of animalia, including birds.
Oh, okay.
So
So
it costs less.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's three. It's 3
Okay.
points.
Perfect.
because birdie talk is more
It's a little-
specific,
You're a little crazy.
and low
Yeah,
speech
more.
is not a life path specific trait, right? It's just a
Nope.
3-point.
Just a 3-point.
There you go.
Great. Cool. Well, then that makes it a little bit more bearable. And so let's see if I can actually talk to birds correctly, first of all. So yeah, 1 for symbology. That's probably the only fork I can actually use.
Yeah. If you name the spell something
Oh, yeah,
suitably florid, you get a plus.
Right,
one.
I'm being dumb. There's art magic rules to consider as well. So yeah, I mean, this is obviously it's got to have a name relating to birds, so probably raven.
Mhm.
And yeah, this so also notable. Speaking of the magic wolves and their whole thing, they have a whole thing about being friends with ravens, which maybe I should have looked at earlier, but because that might be a fun trait to give myself. However, we'll just do this one with the spell. It's going to be called. It's called Raven's Tricks and Games,
Okay.
because it's witches would cast this so that they could play the various like riddles, and yeah, I think we'll just call it Raven's Riddle.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
That's a cool name. And yeah, the ravens are famous for being clever and having riddles and stories, and it's like a way that you can practice
Interact
and become
with that, yeah.
and like sharpen yourself. Great. So I get +1 mod for having named it, and another 1 for having spent the thing.
Mhm.
I'll spend another persona on this because I don't know, more persona points in sorcery. It's always good.
Sounds good.
And I'm wounded so terribly.
Yeah.
And the base ob is 3, we discussed.
Yes, it is. Yeah, because you're doing it just for yourself and just for one test. Oh, fuck. You
Jesus.
blew it. You heckin' blew it. Like hardcore. Rough.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
So, art magic has 5 possible prices to be paid. If you fail, you suffer one of the following consequences: tax, hindrance, enmity, infamy, or an unintended effect. I think tax is the trick here.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that if the spell is failed, I will call for a tax test. You have to pass a fort test with an obstacle equal to the obstacle of the skill. Margin of failure temporarily reduces fort. And if fort reduces to 0, down you go.
Oh, okay. I'm about to pass out. That's good. So this is Agatha like out on like a
Now
parapet somewhere
remember
casting
we talked about this. Tax is resisted with corruption.
Yeah, my corruption is only 1.
Mm-hmm.
But I can. Do I add the dice if I factor it
let me
in?
see, because the idea is that tax applies to. It's supposed to boost your corruption. The more taxed you get. So let me find the rules for corruption here about the interaction between corruption.
Here we go. The corrupted player may always substitute corruption for fort to pass tax test if the player desires. If dice are lost due to a failed test, fort is reduced, not corruption. If using the art, magic, or religion rules in combination with this emotional attribute, corruption must be used to pass tax tests.
Yeah.
So I only get to roll 1 die.
Yeah, against ob 3.
Well, I guess my corruption might still not go up. Okay.
What rule was that bit you just read on?
That's on 257. Corruption brings strength.
257. Okay, thank you. Because I just want to make sure what happens if you fail, because you almost certainly will.
Oh, hold on. Let me. Sorry, I forgot about a rule. Can we just go easy on me this once? Because I can spend fate to ignore wound penalties for a roll.
Yeah, I mean you don't have to re-roll. So if you
can
want
I just roll an extra 2 dice?
No, fate doesn't let you ignore 2. It lets you ignore, I think, fate ignores ob penalty. Persona lets you ignore
your wound dice,
your wounds for one scene.
Okay.
So if you want to spend another persona, or if you want to spend a persona instead of getting the extra die, and just roll 1 more die, they both do the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. So let's do it that way then. Let's just say that my other die is still waiting to be rolled.
So you just roll one more die and see how it goes.
So that's a success. I will spend a fate to reroll a traitor.
Okay.
Which puts me at 4 in sorcery. Let's see if I can just squeak through. There we go. Okay. Yeah. I know it's kind of lame to.
It's fine. It costs you a persona and a fate.
To pull this fucking spell off. And yeah, it's just like her out in the cold, like doing this thing.
Thanks for your help, friend.
Being a cool edgelordy witch, talking to birds.
Talking to birds makes you an edgelord.
I mean, ravens. It does.
I mean, if they're black, if they're birds that are black like crows.
So I'm not gonna make you roll circles to find like a raven, because you like live in a tower and ravens hang around. It's fine. But let's have that like conversation happen, right? So like you're out on the balcony. You're out on the balcony of your weird room.
I mean, I go back to my room to do this, of course. Yeah.
And like there's we see you having cast the spell and ensorcellated yourself so as to speak to birds, and then you walk out onto this balcony, and it's night and it's so fucking snowy and dark. And a raven at your call like lands on the edge of the balcony, lands on the railing. I guess it's like a stone thing, not like metal railing necessarily. And it lands, and it just kind of like cocks its head at you, and like waits for you to speak.
And she just says, "Hello, friend."
And kind of like looks at you quizzically.
I need a message sent, and I ask that you honor the pacts of old, that the ravens and wolves would work together.
And it kind of like croaks a little bit at you and says, "Rules change, witch."
I'm not saying, not demanding, merely asking. Rules may change, but we still honor them. Useful fictions, that sort of thing.
And it kind of like looks around and then says, carry to where?
Not far. A village in the wood. The dark wood.
And yeah, I think it waits. It just says nothing. It's like fine. Like it knows that it's a thing that it's supposed to do.
Broughton, in the village of, what's the village called? Is there a name for the village?
I don't know. I don't know if it has because I mean, it wouldn't necessarily be named if no one has last names. They probably don't name their village.
So then it's like the location of it has a name or something, like
Yeah, I tell it by
under
by the river
such and such. Yeah, like
the village in the elbow of the creek.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So it's a
Yeah.
the one at the end of the valley over yonder, like indicates a direction.
Yeah. I know it.
Good. I'd hate to catch a silly raven who only stays in the town. Broughton there. Agatha has need of her to teach someone. Someone needs to learn how to fight.
It kind of like shakes its head and it says, "The woman you speak of is no witch. Doesn't have raven's tongue." And it kind of like extends like a paw for you to like tie a little hand to tie a message to.
Yeah, and so I think I give what would be a good like medium of carrying this message. It's like a small stone with like a sigil on it. And I think it's like two symbols. One is for me, so it's like the wolf with 9 tails drawn on it, and on the other side, it's like a symbol that represents like a sacred place that used to be where this city was established, but that they like tore down. Like there used to be a henge here or whatever.
Okay.
That the settlers like destroyed. And so it's the sign of that place with the sign for me on it. And it's just like a flat like river stone.
Okay.
With
So
those symbols on it.
you're trying to convince this person to come to you?
To meet me like outside the town, basically. Not that I need them to like come into the city or anything, but just it's like saying like, oh yeah, Agatha, who's over there, wants to meet you, and then I'll like find them outside town or whatever.
Okay. All right. Sure. Yeah. The bird will take your message stone and deliver it.
Yay.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. So yeah, it does so. It picks it up and then heads out into the dark. Cool. Okay. So you'll just have to bring Joy to the meeting place, and that can happen kind of whenever. Cool. Okay. So, let's see what Miro is up to. Miro, you had an opportunity to, go out and call people to your house. I guess Oswald's house, and like talk to them. What are you gonna do after that? Right? Time passes. Right? Days pass.
I need to set up a meeting with, God, what's his name? Let me look in the thing.
Do you need to set up
Robillard?
a meeting with Robillard Garland?
Blood.
Garrett.
Garrus Robillard.
Yeah, or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. Need to go up in that guy's business.
Okay. Well, then let us see how that goes. Let's make a circles test.
Okay. Circles you can fork in.
It's not a skill, so you can't fork. But you get advantage dice from your reputations, your affiliations.
Or affiliation.
Yeah, and he's a priest, so he's a priest and a noble.
Okay. In that case, I have 3 advantage dice on him.
Okay.
2 affiliations and 1 reputation.
Okay, so he is higher stature than you.
Yep.
And I think where do you want to meet him? What's your tell me about the circumstances here.
I need a private meeting with him. It doesn't really matter to me where.
Okay. Yeah. So
Because I just need to have a conversation.
Okay. Yeah. Let's say I think it's ob 2 for him. One base and then one because he's a higher social rank than you.
Okay, I'm being told I can use one reputation and one affiliation.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, you don't get to use all of them.
Which is fine because I have a 1 dice reputation and I have a 2 dice affiliation. So that's, one of each.
Okay.
Where are you at? Yeah, got it.
Nice. Okay. So he calls on you some days later in the church, not the like weird wind-blown snowy one, but like the church that was here beforehand, not the one built for the conclave. So it's this ancient stone cathedral, one of the bigger buildings in Carpathia, in the city and in the kingdom, and you were brought to it. In the opening days of this current crisis, there used to be like crowds of people, around demanding answers from the church, but they have since dissipated. Right, they're more prioritizing staying at home, and so it's easy for a cleric or monk or something to come and retrieve you and to bring you to the house of God. And inside, the remnants of the loyal clergy still go about their business. So there are there is incense being burned. There is prayer being offered. Various holy folk hoping for a sign from our Lord God. And so you're brought into this place, and it has, as you'd expect, a funereal aspect to it. Everyone is wearing, they're still wearing their funereal robes. It's like a funeral that's been going on for weeks, and there is a somber kind of sadness to the air, a feeling of loss, in the space. And when you're brought to the chapel, you're brought to the cathedral. The monks and priests that serve here notice you, right? You're known to them. And you get a few sidelong glances, some whispering, maybe a monk that is transcribing some document stops to look at you and kind of give you like a sidelong glance of concern or worry, and then goes back to scrawling. And you're brought to an office where Father Garrulus is probably in meeting with like some of the other members of the church. And when the monk, when the acolyte knocks on the door, you hear them finishing their conversation, and he's like, "Thank you for making the time to meet with me, collected fathers. I must ask you to go. I have a private meeting to attend to." And you hear that, and as the door is opening, and these monks, these sort of friars, like come out, and a few of them again like look at you as they pass and like whisper to each other. It's obviously everyone is sort of noticing you, unless you're making an effort to be inconspicuous. I'm saying things. This is how things is, but you can be like, "Nah, dog, I don't." What do you think? You wanna? It's okay for you?
I think so. Like last session and this session have been all reputation building. It's all about getting my name back out there. So,
okay.
Yeah, I don't know how they feel exactly, but the fact that they're are thinking,
you. Yeah,
they might be swayed by the other reputations going around.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's fine.
So you you enter into this office, and it's it's a monk's office. It's got a big old looking sort of plain wooden desk, a bunch of candles mostly out, a few still burning, piles of books kind of on every surface, and then on the wall there's an old Carpathian like tapestry of some knight in battle, and there's a seat in front, and there's an urn of wine that Father Garrulus is like pouring a cup of when you come in. And the acolyte, he looks at the acolyte and he says, if you would close the door, but don't go far, brother. And the acolyte nods and goes out and closes the door. So Father Garrulus looks at you and he takes like a nice long look at like obviously like what's happened to you, and takes a drink from his wine, sets the goblet down, doesn't offer you any. And he says, I've heard some very interesting things, Brother Miro. I had not thought to decide whether they are God's truth or merely gossip one way or another until you arrived. And now I see his work with my own eyes. Fascinating. Truly, the angels have given you a blessing. And so practical a blessing, too. Often in the texts, and he gestures to a bunch of books, in the texts, the angels are known to deal with cruelty to men. They punish rather than lift up, cleanse the skin, to tear the hair from the scalp. Wounds given in service of God, yes, but a cruel hand the angels have. But for you, so kind a gift to not feel the bite of this winter. You're blessed, brother.
I thank you for noticing, Father. And I too shared your incredulous thoughts at one time that I should be blessed such, when it seems the rest of our kingdom is experiencing, well, far and less kindness, it seems.
He nods. The angels are an example for the behavior of man. They have cloaked and warmed you in their way, and so too should we look upon our lessers and give them the cloak of human kindness to warm them from the winter.
I'm glad we are of a mind on that then, Father. For, as you may know, I've begun preaching once more. I felt it beyond me for a time, but so far the reactions seem favorable. I hope I am instilling some small amount of comfort to them in seeing God and the angels work still.
He nods. The heavenly choir, of course. It's hard to hear their song in times of low faith. The patriarch has declared that God is dead, and as the patriarch speaks it, so it is truth. But the angels are what interest me most, and I think we have that in common, Miro. And as you're speaking, he you notice that like all the books that he has out, they're all like weird apocryphal Imperialia texts, right? Like, and some are incredibly rare. Either he's brought them with him himself from foreign lands, or like had them called here. And he puts his hand on one, a particularly old-looking book, and you can see that the cover is damaged somewhat, and there's like dark stains on the edge of the pages. And he says, "Are you familiar with this tome?" And he kind of like slides it towards you. It's a big, heavy, dusty book.
Should I test obscure history?
Yeah. I mean, you can just say like no, if you want to, and he'll probably tell you. But if you want to try to show him up or whatever, you can take a look at it. It'd be Imperialia you'd test here.
Oh, I'd test Imperialia.
Yeah, you can fork in obscure history, but it's if your intention is to recognize the book, yeah, it'll be a like an ob 2 Imperialia test.
Okay, yeah, I want to do that because at the moment I'm still trying to seek knowledge of the angels, so advancing the Imperialia skill is reasonable. In which case, I will fork in, with skill history. Can I fork in read because I can read the book?
Yes.
Okay.
It is a book. You could like look at its title and read it. Yes.
Makes it easier to recognize. So yeah, that's what fork is. Nice. I know what the book is.
Okay. So you look down at it, and we get a nice dimly lit, like low depth of field, like shallow depth of field shot of his hand on the book, and you can see, yeah, he's got those like strange tattoos on his wrists and like under his robes as the robes sort of slide up, and you can see the book. So this book, you recognize it. It is it's known by a bunch of different names, but it's known as the Khafra Codex. It's a book of angelic lore. That was said to have been lost during one of the earliest crusades when one of the like warrior priests, the like Templars that rode with one of the king's armies, was killed and his stuff taken by Stygians, and so it was lost, and it contains a great deal of information about the angelic host, seemingly all from visions.
Yeah. So. With recognition, I guess, comes surprise and disbelief at first. Where it says, I was led to believe during my training that this was lost. It is surely the will at work that we would have it in this time, that you would find it.
Yeah, he nods and he says, it was lost, but returned to us. A gift to the church. I have a friend in the king's court who knows of my interest in matters historical. We share that in common. He thought it appropriate that the church be returned this book. It's fascinating, really. I've been consulting it for several weeks now. The signs are everywhere, if you know where to look.
Miro like nods incredibly deeply, and he's just like, "Yes, my like psychosis is like being vindicated here." Or it sounds like it to someone else is experiencing the world in a way that I do. So he said. So he kind of like leans over, puts his hands on the desk, and he says, "Father, the signs have never been so strong, and they are leading me to." It might be improper to suggest. I have a theory, though one has learned as you may have already conceived of it. Might I?
He nods. Please, I welcome your insight, brother.
In fact, I do believe the situation that many have called a plague, a harsh, devilish winter, was in fact the opposite. For I see the angel's hands in it.
He nods. I had come to that same conclusion myself, brother. Often changes in the weather, plagues of unusual heat or cold, hurricanes, great storms, earthquakes are signs of the angel's displeasure. But strange timing, this, I think. Perhaps the angels are in mourning at God's death, as we all are. And, he gestures to his funereal robes. And that, I think, and he says that, I think, is why this book is so interesting. Say what you will about their base nature. The Stygians understand a thing or two about death. I cannot help but wonder if these things are all connected.
We're like a little, That sounds a little bit like heresy, but like, okay, where are we going with this? So Miro says, is it not true that the doctrines of the Church's school of magic believe that all knowledge is something that can lead us closer to God's will? Because arcane knowledge is one of the precepts of my art magic.
He smiles, and he says to you, he says, "Are you?" This is great because you're just gonna keep getting to make like weird, obscure history tests. He says to you, "Are you familiar with the Anhira heresy?"
Don't know. Let's find
just
out.
let me solve my character sheet, buddy. It's an obscure history roll. I think the
obscure history.
Say ob 2, same thing. Like not that difficult. You've got a proper name.
Fork hit religious history because it is both. Heresy. Nah, I think that's all I thought. So this is actually a tricky one for me.
Okay.
I opened it quite low. No, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, you just got 5 for this. Okay. So yeah, when he says that, what do you say?
I am afraid not as such, Father. The name possibly rings a bell, but it's not something I've studied.
He says it's named after a village in the south, or it was a village at least. The Anhira were a simple people, but they came to believe that everything in creation, all the world and every person, every creature, every act within it was the product of God's will. That no matter how cruel or villainous a deed, it was the will of God that it was undertaken. And so, to them, to deny oneself even the simplest base pleasure was to deny God. You can imagine where their imaginations went from there. The stories, horrible. Accounts of survivors, murder, cannibalism, truly vile, devilish behavior. But in a way, their influence is still felt in ideas such as the one you've put forth, Miro, that all knowledge can be used in service of good. Tell me, brother, do you believe that an evil act done for the greater good serves God in his creation?
I do, Father, with all my heart.
And who, brother, gets to decide which evil acts should be undertaken for the good of mankind?
The judgment upon such a question, Father, would lie ultimately with God himself, and his judgment rendered perhaps after the death of the fallible, not always as wise, not always as benevolent of his chosen, though we do our best, I'm sure.
And if, Brother Miro, if the word of God were no longer available to the ears of man, would it not behoove us to seek a close authority? The patriarch, certainly, but would not there be other avenues for those trained in such things to seek answers about whether or not an act is in the good of the interests of mankind?
there is no one man who could speak for all his brothers and sisters. Are you perhaps speaking of, again, the higher beings, those closer to God than we, but still not fully divine?
He nods, and he's smiling now, and he says to you, our God is creator divine, maker of stone and field, yes, but creatures as well. The hound, the rat, the bird, all creatures under our dominion, and we too serve under the dominion of creatures greater than us. Creatures, I believe, who have given you this gift, Miro, and I believe you may be a suitable channel for our communing with these entities. Would you not say you've been blessed by them directly? Felt the hand of the choir upon you?
I believe I have on more than one occasion. He says nervously.
Yeah, right? He nods. Truly, Brother Miro, you are blessed, and I think you have a higher purpose than simply preaching. I will think on this. It pleases me to see you, to confirm the things that I have been thinking about our situation, but I'm being rude, brother. It was you who asked for this meeting. What can I do for you?
Well, apart from fill my heart with warmth and respect that there is still such a man in this land as yourself, whose faith and fervor are diminished little by the recent difficult times and news. I wish to speak to you on the task you gave me, though it is with a heavy heart that I do so.
He looks at you kind of quizzically, like I can't imagine what you would say that would upset me.
You bade me speak with your niece, Lady Alessandra Corday.
He sighs. Ah, yes, Alessandra. I've been hearing rumors about her. She's been speaking impiously. I am sorry, Brother Miro, if anything that she said offended your sensibilities. I worry on that one and pray for her nightly. I presume you've made no headway?
No. In fact, I believe those rumors of which you speak, I can confirm as true, for they originated with her in my presence.
He shakes his head and he says, I am disappointed, Brother Miro, but not in you. You and I have great things before us, and if my niece cannot see that, well, we must focus where work can be done that will succeed. I'll pray for her. But some lambs simply will not be shepherded. I absolve you of your responsibility, brother. And he puts his hand on your shoulder.
I thank you, Father, though again, if I may be so bold, had an alternative idea, way in which she could find guidance, one that I had no opportunity to suggest in as many words, for she would not understand what it was that we did.
He raises a curious eyebrow.
Was she not said to be wholly devoted to her life and marriage, her partner, her dearly departed husband?
He nods and says, yes, of course. The poor thing, a woman without a husband is like a ship without a tiller. She has no idea which way to go, and I fear her divinely granted cargo is in some danger because of this. Though I have heard she seeks a new husband. Have you a thought on who might be an appropriate choice? Some way we could encourage her to make the right decision?
Oh, Father, I have no mind for such things. I have given it no thought upon myself, little less to how I might make that decision for others. It was never something which was in the stars for me. I don't suppose. No, it is as you say, that she is without guidance. A husband in the future would, of course, serve her son well, but perhaps there is some to be learned, some direction to be gained. Though her husband is dead, there is that we might learn from him still, and her further, some comfort, even if it is to guide her on her path forward herself.
I'm picking up what Miro's putting down. So in this moment, do you want to sway him to assist you in the summoning of her dead husband's ghost, or?
Yep, I need to sway him to help me with the summoning because it requires a tribute, and I can't do that.
And you know that he's at least a little unaware of the summoner's art, right? Like he's got a little bit of bit of that in him.
Like what are all these tattoos if not for magic? Like
Totally.
that's just nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Persuade him.
Yeah, let's do some suasion here. Father Garrulus has a will. Ooh, he's very willful. He's a will of 6. Now you can attempt to sway him. I think if you fail, he won't consider this, like, he's not going to get mad or upset, right? Like, he likes that you're thinking non-laterally here or whatever, but he'll ask you for something significant first, right? He'll be like, no, we got to do some other shit, and then we'll talk about, like, he doesn't really care about Alessandro right now. But yeah, he'll say no, but not like, no, get out of here, you crazy person.
No, it's I mean, that is not a bad thing to happen to Miro either. He just still feels beholden to the idea that he failed to help someone who could have been helped. So he's doing it kind of more for himself now because, I mean, he's been absolved of the thing. He just wants to do it because he thinks it's the right thing to summon a ghost.
Right, of course. Okay, well, let's figure out the roll. So it's ob 6. You're using suasion?
Yes. Suasion. So that's base 5. Can I fork in summoning? Because that is the idea that I'm putting forwards. I can talk to him about the intricacies of it and make him understand that I am coming to this.
Yes, you're trying to explain to him your summoning plan. So, yep.
Yep. Can I fork in religious history of times when the spirits of the departed have given knowledge to those seeking it in our scripture?
I mean, I think you could make a linked test for that first, rather than a straight up fork.
Yeah. Let's do that because that's doctrine and religious history linked then into suasion with some other stuff. Does that make sense?
Let's have you make that the religious doctrine. What was the link test you wanted to make? Doctrine. You have a bunch of them that overlap.
Yeah, they do. Doctrine and religious history are both B2, so they're quite low.
Okay.
I'd rather fork them in, honestly, but
Yeah, I think in this
if you
case it's religious. You're setting up the case, right? So you're like religious history to say this has been done, and then using that example, you will try to dissuade him to say like it's been done before. We could do it again. It's not against the will of God, right? There's doctrine available, and you'll talk about the summoning details. Yeah. Okay. So for that religious history test, I think it's ob2, right? Because it's pretty clear. It's not like basic Bible stuff, but it is, it'd be easy to remember those tales.
Okay, so we're doing religious history, fork in, doctrine, fork in.
You can fork obscure history with your
based.
You can fork in obscure history with your religious history.
Okay, that's fine then. That's 2 modifiers.
Okay.
So that's sounds like 4 dice of 2, which is hopefully doable. Oof.
Okay. All right. So it's maybe not a story he's familiar with, or you misremember some detail, and it doesn't quite get across. So it's going to make the convincing him harder. But now you can go ahead and make that one. So you've got 5 for your suasion.
Yep.
You've got an ob of 6. But because you failed the link test, it goes up to 7. And then what are you forking?
I'd like to fork summoning.
Okay.
I'd like to fork religious diatribe because I am practiced in debating specifically with other religious.
Yeah, you're in your element for sure.
And I feel like that's probably it.
Okay, I'll give you an advantage. I'll give you an advantage die because, I mean, he likes you. He wants you to he's listening intently.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So what do you got for your total amount of dice here?
I believe 8.
All right. You have 8 dice against ob 7. Let's take our last break and we'll see how it goes when we get back. All right. Stick around. We got 40 or so minutes left to polish off today's episode. We will be right back with more Burning Wheel.